My name is Jonathan Delgado, and I'm the Academic Technology Coordinator at UPrep, which is a private school in Seattle, Washington. Yeah, so I started creating things in Zoe as part of the teacher cohort. So it was a sample or a demo scene that I created for that purpose specifically. So I created two scenes. One is a school fair where I created different interactions just to showcase the different things that you could do in Zoe. And that was aimed primarily for teachers, so who did not know what Zoe was, so they could try it out and try a scene where they could just do different things in a school fair setting. And the second demo, which I just completed, was a space escape room, and that is just to test some new interactions that they're trying out with Zoe. So those are the main two things that I have worked with Zoe by myself. And with students, we used it last year for a summer camp where students try different subjects like robotics or drones and all that. And VR was one of them. So Zoe was one of the apps that we used for students to try to create things in VR without knowing any code. So you start in the center of the scene of the room. It's a spaceship, basically, and you have astronauts around the room with different tasks for you to do. So when you complete a task, they would give you something that would allow you to complete the next task like that in that order until you finally get out of the spaceship. Yeah. So
That's really
there's a lot
fun.
of exploring, a lot of poking around the room, talking to
Yeah.
different characters and testing what you have to do to get out of that space. Yeah. So one of the first projects was this past summer with students. So they work independently first, and that was last summer, basically, right? So and it was the introduction for them to work in Zoe. So it was more of an independent work because they could create their own scenes based on what they like, and just to test the different interactions that you could do. So there's been a lot of independent work also for myself. But we are excited to start using it collaboratively with students so they can collaborate and create things together. I think the creativity that or the ideas that come to mind once you start using Zoe, I think it's very interesting to see when a student uses it and they surprise you with something they create, or when you're creating something yourself and you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about creating something like this based on these interactions or based on all these assets that you have in the asset store or the shop. Yeah, so I'm not a VR developer, but I do know how to do it just because I'm very passionate about VR and XR in general. So I have created things for the school in the past using Unity. Um, for example, I'm working on an application where you can go and you can see in 360 different videos of different international trips that we're doing. So students take a 360 camera, they record footage, they bring it back, and I put it in this VR setting so they can visit those countries in VR, those who did not get to go. Not yet, because I just finished that one like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. But since we are starting new programs for our co-curricular after school program, that's one of the things that we want to try. So currently, we started with upper school using Unity to learn, how to create things and work in virtual environments. But we are also planning to start something like that for middle schoolers who don't have computers, who only have Chromebooks. And we think that Zoe is a great opportunity for them to start thinking about how to develop things in VR even without any code. So that's in the plans. That's something that we are planning for. Yeah, so I'm hoping that students can learn how to use it so they can create their own learning environments for different subjects. Let's say if they're learning about geometry or something like that, that they could create their own activities there so they
Yeah.
can show to everybody what they've learned in a virtual environment, which, just being immersed in VR, I think it creates it more immersive and more meaningful for students. and they're able to show things that maybe they couldn't show on paper or on a slide presentation. Yeah, just to test things out. It's there's no linear way of learning, right? Everyone learns differently, but I think one of the best ways we learn is by trying, right? So I think just try the app, try to explore the different interactions. There are a couple of tutorials already there, so start with that, and then just try to create your own things, and let students create their own environments as well. I think it's a great app that is constantly evolving and getting better and improving every time. I'm excited to see what's going to be new in a couple of months, and how this app develops and more people start to use it.